Hey guys, in this video we're going to be checking out the DC Collectibles The Flash, figure number 5, Zoom. The figure itself is actually pretty good. I mean, as it goes for a Zoom figure, you'll pretty much expect that this figure will be completely all black. And you're, for the most part, right. There are a few silver accents here that's added to the suit itself. But with Zoom here, you're basically getting a top-to-bottom black figure. I do think the sculpt on the face, though, is really good. I mean, I already like the sculpt on Zoom anyways, where it's got this, closed off mouth on his mask. I think that's always a very scary looking effect that they've done with the mask. I think it really looks good here on figure form. The eyes are in there, but again, very, very hard to make out because there's really not a lot of extra coloring that's been added. He's got his little silver lightning bolts on the sides, silver, of course, on his front emblem, and he's got just the sprinklings via some panel lining that makes up the majority of his outfit. So he's got some silver there running down the torso, his arms, and in his legs. I don't normally do many comparisons from a DC collectible to a Mattel figure, but I thought in this instance I would bring it in. You guys can see the difference between the two. One thing that this figure has that the Mattel sadly missed the mark on, I think if you ask me, is the face sculpt. And again, let's bring the two face sculpts together. I really like the face sculpt on the Mattel, but it wasn't really until I got the DC Collectibles version that I really see like it's night and day. Like this one has all the elements of Zoom, but there's something about this one I think that has a more natural sculpt to it, whereas this one seems like it's almost forced. Both have that closed off mouth. Again, nice sculpting going on there. But I think between the two, this is again one of those instances where DC Collectibles, I think, did it right. Mattel just slightly missed the mark. Now, the Mattel does have all this extra lightning effect that's been added to his back, which can't be removed. If you haven't seen the video, go check that out. Zoom doesn't get that on this release. However, what he does get, though, is a couple of these little lightning effects that are interesting and difficult in the same way. I mean, these are like a soft plastic, slightly translucent. There's some elements there of blue. I see a little bit of purple. I don't know, it's probably just the lighting, but mostly like a blue effect. Very, again, soft, pliable plastic. The idea is you're supposed to be able to clip this onto his chest, and it is, let me tell you, pretty difficult. What you're supposed to do is there's a little lightning bolt at the top there. You're supposed to find a notch. Let's see if I can actually find it here. I've done it a couple of times. There is a little notch. Ah, there it is right there. There's that little, right there. I don't know if you can see it. See how this little indentation there on the ring? This is supposed to line up and snap itself to the tip of the lightning bolt. And I've only been able to do this maybe out of 8 times, let's say, for example. I've only been able to do this like 4 times. So half the amount of time it seems to stick and stay. Other instances, though, it falls right off. 3 attempts later, you can see, well, it's on there, but it's just barely holding on. I mean, it does add a nice little effect to Zoom, which is pretty appreciated, but man, oh man, is it really difficult to try to get that on there. It seems to want to stay for the time being, but it's probably going to fall off in a matter of time. You can see how it's nicely sculpted, and it gives a little extra oomph to the figure's torso, especially when so much of the figure is this black and silver. A little bit of blue certainly goes a long way. For all the trouble that it took me to put it on, I'm going to take it off, and you can see how it took very little for me to take this off his torso. And let's have a look at the rest of the accessories. He does come with another kind of lightning effect. This one is something more so that he can hold. It'd be neat if they had incorporated something in the back, like a hole or something that you could put a couple of these in, but he does come with one of these. That same sort of pliable plastic as the ringlet that went around his emblem. A little bit of the blue, translucent plastic, love it. It comes with those. And then he comes with a series of interchangeable hands. Now, in his sockets currently are what I can only describe as some of the smallest fists I've seen on a 7-inch figure. They're extremely small. Proportionately, they just seem like they're completely the wrong size. Like, for example, if you match it up to the hands that he also comes with, they're the same sized hand, but for some reason, having them as close fists, he looks really disproportionate with the hands to like the rest of his body. This hand right here, and it's probably only on my figure, the hand doesn't sit well in the socket at all. For some reason, this hand, and I've tried changing out a couple of different hands, the peg, I don't know if maybe the hole that sits in the forearm, but it doesn't sit in there, and you can't. I've wiggled the fist. There we go. Okay, now we've got it. Yeah, the hole, there's something off on the hole. I don't know if maybe the angle is off, that I have to put the fist slightly on a different angle than what I would normally do to get those into place. Needless to say, though, he does come with a series of interchangeable hands. He's got some gripping hands suited for holding the lightning bolt. He's got, of course, a couple of flat palms in the gesture for him to be running. He gets 2 of those. And he has this kind of, I want to strangle you flash sort of hands as well. And you know, he gets a kind of a couple of those, some relaxed palms. He basically gets a total of 8 interchangeable hands, and then he's got of course the defaulted hands there as well. So we'll just pull one hand out. Let's see if we can find a decent hand that we can give him. Let's see. Well, we'll just give him a gripping hand for the time being. Very, very narrow pegs also, I might add. We'll wiggle that back on, plug it into the socket, and there we have Zoom with his new hand. He can put the lightning bolt in his hand. I mean, it sits very loose. It kind of looks odd that he's holding it, but I guess it gives him a little, again, extra something. The blue does do a great job of breaking up all the somewhat monotonous black and silver that makes up the majority of the figure, but again, works it very well, I think, on Zoom here. Take this out of his hand. And let's run through Zoom's posability. Well, he has the ball joint in the head. That's a go-to that we always seem to find on these figures. That's good. The head doesn't really move up and down, though. I mean, you get it to about there, and you get it to about there. And then again, you have your full rotation going on. Shoulders hinge out. You have a full rotation on the forearms. You have a bend at the elbow, which also allows a forearm rotation. Rotation to the hands. Your hands hinge back and forth. He has an upper torso ball joint. I do appreciate that quite a bit. Nothing in the waist, just due to the way that he's sculpted. There's nothing going on in the waist there, but he does have a forward, back, and out motion on the legs. Half swivel cut on the thigh. Double hinge on the knee. Certainly would come in handy if you can find a really cool display stand to display him in a running pose. And he does also have a hinge. No real ankle pivot, but he does have the hinge there in the foot. Good looking figure. Like the design of Zoom, DC Collectible I think did a good job on the figure itself. And again, if you compare it to Mattel, this is again why spending a little extra getting a DC Collectibles release of the same figure, same character, you can see night and day how just quality wise, it seems like this, just looking at it, looks like a nicer looking figure than Mattel's release here. This guy does come with some collect and connect figure pieces, of course. Again, I think this guy came with the King Shark Wave. This one did not come with any collect and connect pieces, but again, what you get in exchange is a really decent looking figure. Slightly small on the hands, and again, this little plastic piece here is a nightmare to get on, but overall I'm really happy with how Zoom turned out. Today we're checking out the DC Collectibles Flash. This was figure 5, this was Zoom. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to this channel, what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button down below, you're good to go, and you won't miss a future video hitting the YouTube or the interweb. If you also are fans of DC Collectibles and haven't had a chance to check out some of my older videos, head over to those as well, and you can like those and comment those, so I can always see that you guys are watching the older videos as well as the newer stuff. See you guys next time.